So, fellas, so the title is pretty self-explanatory, but yeah, I didn't think I was gonna be making this video because I mean, only one of these I can definitively say have actually happened. The other two encounters, the other two angelic encounters, which I'm gonna go over, I don't even know if they actually were an encounter or they could have just been a dream. But it's whatever. I'll start with the first one. So the first one to predate them all of the major was when I met Baphomet, or I encountered the Baphomet. And to elaborate on that one, I had a dream. I was John F. Kennedy. We were going down Houston. It was about 1957, but it was a little too old for 57. Maybe not. I don't know. It was 1957 or 1950s, around that ballpark. I feel like it's just a knowing that it was 57. So it was 1957, and I'm going down this like open car. It's like open window. There's no window. I was just waving at people, you know what I mean? I was going around waving at people, doing all that. And then, what's it called? I'm waving my hand around to the people on my right and then to my left, and it's broad daylight. It's probably like, is it focused? It's probably like, I want to say 2, 3 o'clock p.m. in the afternoon. And there's a 14-foot yellow brick building. It's like a yellow stone, limestone building in front of me that going all the way up, 14 feet on my right, or 14 stories. And at the very top of that building, I make eye contact with Baphomet, the goat man demonic thing that you see the Freemasons have, the as above, so below, Baal, Moloch. I don't know if that was that, but I saw Baphomet. And immediately, the car that I was in, the people on my right, my left, my wife, the kid in the front, ceased. So now I'm just standing on the street, broad daylight, by the way, staring at this thing, this devil, and it was absolutely demonic. I'm gonna tell you from my personal experience, these things hate you. They hate you. It is an anger that cannot be replicated on Earth. It cannot. No matter the amount of fear that I felt three things when I made eye contact with it. Fear, death, and despair. And I'll elaborate on despair last, but the fear and death were 100%. I knew this thing hated me with the entirety of its being. It's a darkness. It was broad daylight. The darkness, you could feel it. It was cold. It was menacing. It did not. There was no room for nothing. It didn't want to hear. It didn't want to talk. It wanted me, and it wanted to hurt me. This thing was absolutely hatred manifested, darker than Vanta Black. This is like I said, people talk about darkness you can feel. The way I'm describing it is it's cold outside. It's that, and coupled with the worst fear you've ever had, magnified by the feeling that knowing. It's where despair comes in. By the feeling of knowing that there's no saving you because you chose this. You're given this, by the way. This is a given knowledge. There's no saving you because you chose this. I guess that's what hell is. You chose to go. So in this case, I chose this, and so this is what I got to deal with now. And that's what I felt: fear, despair, fear, death, and despair. This thing wanted to hurt me. And like I said before, this isn't a fear you can replicate on Earth. It is magnified. I used to have a crazy fear of dogs. I one ran up right up to me when I was little and I started crying. This was that amplified because at least I know I could hide. This one I was frozen in fear. Let me tell you how bad the fear was. My heart wasn't even beating; it was vibrating. My heart goes boom, 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 boom. When you're scared, this thing was just, it was just fluttering. It wasn't even actually beating. So that's the first encounter. That is Baphomet. It's absolute evil. It's absolute hatred, and it hates you. Now I had a miniature counter with a gargoyle. I was gonna fight it. Those are also demonic, just an FYI. I've seen their have my Catholic churches, or not all of them, but some of them have gargoyles are demonic. I'm just gonna tell you that right now. I encounter that demonic. Hard stop. You're not getting me. That's demonic. Here's the angelic encounter. So after that, because I had other demonic encounters too, and I'm gonna elaborate to you on what sleep paralysis is later on, but like with my theories and all that. So then after that encounter, I had an angelic encounter. This is with God. It's not even angelic. This was the Christ encounter. I felt the love of God. I was at school in math class and I took a nap. I always use this is like years ago. I already graduated. It was probably, I'd say like this is about like 5 years ago. So I was in math class, head down. I took a nap because I was ahead, and lunch was after. So I took a nap, and then when I popped my head back up, I was fully energized, like I've never been before. But it wasn't just energized; I was filled with love. Like I couldn't force a bad thought into my head, type of love. I couldn't. I absolutely cannot force it. If I tried. I know this. I'm saying that I couldn't force it because I tried. It was so overwhelmingly bearing. I wanted to talk to people. I wanted to love the person next to me. I wanted to talk only about positive things, and I felt joy doing so. It wasn't like you can't describe it. It was out of this world. But I was. This was I woke up. This wasn't a dream this time. This one I woke up and I had this overbearing sense of love. When people talk about it, think about the most excited you've ever been to have heard the best news, that amplified, and on top of that, warmth. I was like that for 10, 15 minutes. I went to the cafeteria, got my free food, and sat at a table by myself with a smirk on my face, and I looked crazy. But I talked to nobody because I didn't know how to describe it. I told one person, but they kind of just blew me off. Nobody can relate. Nobody can relate. I was the only guy at that school that had that. Like at that moment, I was the only guy walking around that was godly. That was absolutely godly. That warmth, that that loving feeling is so overbearing. And like I mentioned before, I tried forcing a bad thought in. I tried forcing lust, pride, envy. I couldn't do it. My it was so fixated on love, the unconditional love. Like I would have oversought anything. Forgiveness was given. I just you just forgot everything bad because I knew the person in front of me. Like that's the type of love that I had walking around. That was one encounter. The second encounter was this not this one and the one after that might have just been a dream. But this is where it got. So my second encounter was it was dark. On my left I could hear screaming and it was cold and I felt cold. I was in a dark area. And on my right I could feel a presence. And I felt fear, but more of fear of an overbearing power, like comparison between me and an angel. I believe this angel was Michael. It's just a knowing, but this angel was Michael because it was a humanoid form. And this is what Michael told me. He had a sword in his hand like this. What he told me was, how do you expect to fight him, which is the enemy? How do you expect to fight him when you don't even have this? And it was the sword, but the sword was a white yellow, and the sword was so holy. It didn't light up anything illuminated. I knew it was illuminated, but it was a light trapped within the sword. It was condensed. And if you looked at the sword, I couldn't look at it, but it was a knowledge. You're given this knowledge. If I had looked at the sword, I would see like a separate dimension inside. It was like a tesseract. To explain it, like the cosmic skins in Fortnite are my rivals with Iron Fist. If you look at it, it doesn't move with you. It stays put, but it's like a stationary universe in there. Like it's so weird. It was the sword was like above the third dimension. But I was like, why is Michael showing me a sword? How does this tie back to scripture? Because that's how you can figure out if these dreams are actually like angelic or not. You have to tie it back to scripture. So I tied this one back to scripture, and this was the sword Jesus was talking about that he said he came to give down. But he didn't give you a physical sword. He gave you the sword, which was the word, the truth that he spoke. So I believe what I saw Michael holding was the word in a sword. And what Michael was telling me is you can't even fight evil when you don't got the word. You don't even know what it means. That's what Michael was trying to show me. So I believe he had the word as a sword, and that sword is the one he's going to use in Revelations to set the devil back where he belongs. And then this is my third encounter. My third encounter was with an Oraphim or throne, the angel with a bunch of eyes and the big eye in the center with the wheels that Ezekiel talks about that is thunderous when it moves. It was late at night and I went outside. I don't know who was talking with it, but I was outside and I look up at the sky and this is how big it was. Go outside when it's like a clear sky. Imagine 70% of the sky is obstructed by this wheel angel. This thing was massive. I'm not gonna say it was building massive or lake massive. I mean massive. It was planetary. We're talking bigger than the moon. It dwarfed the moon. That's not even arguable. This thing was massive. It was scarily massive. I saw why they say do not fear. I wasn't scared that it was going to hurt me. When I saw it, I knew it wasn't going to hurt me, but it was a presence I could not comprehend. This was a massive oraphim, a massive angel. And I don't know who was talking. Somebody blew, or I don't know. It was late at night, but it was a massive oriframe, and it was just staring at me. It didn't talk. It was staring right at me from space. It took up 70% of the my peripheral view. So like 70% of my vision going like all the way like that. It took up 70%, like a big eye. And what it looked like was it didn't look like the depictions you see in drawings. It looked like the one nebula I'm gonna put here. It looked like this, but it had three more rings, one on the left, center, and right. It was about five rings that it had, and it was just so incredibly massive. I didn't see eyes on the wheels. It didn't move, but if it moved, it probably would have made me deaf. But like I said, the presence is so like whelming. Like it's an overbearing feeling of powerlessness. Like you know this thing's far above you. Like if this thing probably blink, the planet would cease to exist. That's the type of strength I'm talking about. It was unbelievably big, and the comparison in my head, I couldn't comprehend it. I actually only looked at it for like a solid second. I don't even remember what it looked like anymore at that point. I just know it looks like this, like what I showed you, but I don't like I couldn't see it no more. Like at first I took a quick glance at it, and then it hurt my eyes. If I looked at it again, I would have started crying and I would have kneeled. And I think in my dream I did drop to a knee, but I wasn't worshiping it. I knew that it was like serving God. So I was worshiping God because I just saw a power before me that I could not comprehend. Like I think was it Isaiah and Ezekiel? Isaiah saw the angels in a form he could comprehend, and Ezekiel's just the one who raw dogged it and saw him in the true form was like and he was trying to tank it. And the reason why I think I had dreams like that is because I asked God for it because I was curious. I was like Ezekiel saw him. I want to see him. I can handle it. Nah, those things are they're something. They're I see why they come in forms you can understand. These things are far above you. The comparison doesn't even exist. You see an angel, you don't even want to stare at it anymore. Now, with that being said, obviously the Bible talks about angels coming in human form and you serve them, you won't even know it actually. But yeah, there's that. Um, and now I'm going to talk about sleep paralysis real quick. I think sleep paralysis is nearly always a demonic attack. No, not always. Sleep paralysis can exist as an hallucination because of an imbalance of hormones and all that. I fully believe that because I've had that a few times. But you still get that sense of anxiety, but not a sense of presence. If you're having sleep paralysis and you get a sense of anxiety, it's just because your brain is consciously aware of what's going on, but your body's still not awake. That's a response. Your body's trying to wake up because it's an irregular. It's in a like I don't know how to explain it. It's just not something normal. It's irregular for you to be awake but not being able to move. So that's why you get fear. But if you feel that fear with a presence, now it's a demonic attack. And the way you know that it's a demonic attack, hold on, let me get the phone for you. Let me show you what I mean. Okay, I got my phone. So this is the way I always tested for demonic stuff. And this, because sometimes they get so incredibly like detailed, you can't even tell it's a dream until this happens. And I have a theory on why it happens. So obviously, if you see a sleep paralysis demon, uh, it's a demonic attack. It's not a hallucination. You're having a demonic attack. A sleep paralysis should not be accompanied by a demon. You're having a demonic attack. It's spiritual warfare. What you're seeing is little glimpses of hell, and it's trying to scare you to get you away from God because that actually works. Surprisingly, you'd be surprised. People go to sages because they want immediate relief as opposed to the truth, which is change your life. Now, get this. Aside from the presence, this is how you test if there's a demonic dream. I can shake my phone, right? See how it has a light? Okay. In a regular dream, this light will work. In a demonic dream, this light looks like this. Look. Hold on, let me show you again. Let me show you again. This is what it looks like. This is light in a demonic dream. It either A doesn't work or B it doesn't travel. Light, as we know, light and hell doesn't travel. Light, if you see a fire in your room, it's gonna illuminate your room, right? In hell, light does not travel, it stays present to where it's at. So you will see a candle millions of miles away, but it will not illuminate the surroundings. That's what happens with the flashlights in demonic dreams. Shine your flashlight in your demonic dream or your dream. If the light does not turn on nor travel, it's an attack. I've noticed that. And that's why I was able to compare it because light does not travel in hell. Now, how does that tie back in scripture? I don't know. I've just heard testimonies, so I'm going on based off of that. And my own personal anecdotal experiences, light does not travel. Like I said, this is how it should be in a dream. This is what happens when it's not. Notice how it's not illuminating the screen anymore, but you see the light there, but it's not traveling. That's how that works. That's my theory, at least for sleep paralysis. And I also have a bunch of other things that I just post on Twitter. Like I can keep another lesson brief for you. Um, that you know how they say words can cut deep, right? It's because words hold power. They say words hold power, but what word holds the most power and cuts the deepest of them all? It is something you should seek for in a friend, and that is a friend who's going to be true to you. Truth. Word that cuts deep, goes straight through feelings, is beyond fact, beyond reason, and is truth. So the word that cuts the deepest is truth. Now, what does Jesus come and claim to be? The truth. Plain and simple. That's really all I got to say for you guys. I mean, I don't really got any more lessons or experiences off the top of my dome. Baphomet, Gargoyle Demonic. I saw an Orifim and Michael. Michael, I can probably tie back to scripture. Orifim, I'm not too sure. That might have just been a dream because I've always found them cool, especially with the size and the thunderous sound. That could have just been a dream. But the overbearing feeling of love from God was 100% real. That one I test to. And yeah, that's about it, guys. I don't got much to say. God bless.